All right, boys. Hope y'all are well. I'm going to get started because I don't have that much time today. So we're just going to dive right back into where we were, I think, on Friday. Before we do, though, I did not get chat set up. I got partway through setting it up, but did not finish. So I still cannot see chats, unfortunately. But that will be resolved somewhat soon. Anyways, so what were we doing last time? Oh, okay. So Ram was giving examples of different scenarios and asking us to identify the psychological element that the examples have in common. Also, I bit my tongue on the weekend, so talking is a little weird. So apologies if I'm a little less fluid than normal. So the first example, let me remember. The guy basically, he got a lot of satisfaction out of other people asking him for help. He had special pull with his local politicians. He was conservative, complained, and when offered a solution, he did not like that because I think in part the solution would screw him over because the solution involves separating government from economics, which would mean he can't, he wouldn't have a political pull anymore. God damn. Sorry, the tongue. It's really annoying, but it's okay. Okay. So, I don't know. Some evasion going on for sure. He also has he feels like he has a duty to help people. Regardless of whether he wants to or not. And then we were on the second example. The naturalist. So the naturalist is, what was naturalism? I forget. I think it's depicting things as they are. Naturalism. Oh, interesting. Huh. All right, naturalism. I thought I defined this last time, but I guess not. Yeah. All right. So there's a couple of different definitions of naturalism for different contexts. One of the definitions is just the denial of the supernatural, or like the emphasis of the natural, and that science is adequate to explain everything. However, I don't think that's what is meant, what Rand means in this example, because she's referring to a novelist, which refers to art, and there is a definition of naturalism that pertains to art. And it seems to be, well, this is the definition verbatim: a theory or practice in literature emphasizing scientific observation of life without idealization and often including elements of determinism. So it's like a non-romantic view of life, or a view of the world as it is rather than as it could be, and then sprinkling in some determinism. So not very inspiring doctrine, it seems like. But so I think the yeah. So this lady is only focused on like concrete or like specific examples. She's only focused on the present. She's not focused on the future, and she's not focused on super broad abstractions. She's focused on the here and now, the immediately perceivable. Gossip. Oh. It is impossible, except for theologians, to conceive of a worldwide scandal or universe-wide scandal. What does she mean by scandals? I think she just means conflicts. So don't focus. So the novelist isn't focusing on like big conflicts in her stories. She's focused on the mundane, the day-to-day life of her lives of normal people, it seems like. So there's like a lack of grandeur, a lack of dreaming, it seems like. The dilemma of the novelist. The novelist's special quality is to stagger belief. How is the modern world... Wait, what? So the novelist, I don't understand this paragraph. The novelist is claiming that the dilemma of the novelist is that we forget or ignore the events of the modern world because their special quality is to stagger belief. The novelist's special quality is to stagger belief? What does she mean by stagger? Hesitate? Perplex. But if we think of them, our daily life becomes incredible to us, the coexistence of the great world and us. But is she saying like all the modern technology and riches we have like seems unreal? Like, what do you mean the modern world's leading characteristic is irreality? I don't understand what that means. Yeah. All right, I'm going to move on. The low wage scale. Okay. Okay. Wait, what? The first 3 weeks, productivity soared, and then the fourth week, no one showed up for work. Oh my God. Okay. I did not come back. Oh, okay. Interesting. So, the workers earned a month's wages in 3 weeks, and they decided to take the fourth week off. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily, but if you're fine making the money that you're making. And you'd like the free time? Interesting. Don't give reasons. The type of mentality. Okay, we're getting to the mentality. What do I think the mentality is? So I've read this before, so I know what it is. But it's basically these people aren't willing. They don't form concepts. They just. I mean, they technically do form concepts, but there's like they're like. They don't want to. They don't really project into the future. They just take what they experience as like a given, not a given, but like they take those sensory experiences, the things that directly happen to them, but they don't project outside of that. They're like, it's like they're frozen in time. They're frozen in the present. So if you look at the first example, I'm not sure about the first example. The second example is a lot more obvious to me because she's a naturalist, so she's focused on observation of phenomena and like a description of the world and I guess art that describes the world as it is right now. Third example, the factory workers, they aren't projecting like, oh, I could make more money, or I could save this money so that I could retire earlier or try to start a business. They're just like, oh, okay, I made as much money as I made in a month I made a month's worth of wages in 3 weeks, and I'm going to stop working because I made my month's worth of wages. But there's no like, oh, I could make more money, or I could put this money away and save it, or invest it, or start a business, or whatever. It's just, they're kind of like, I don't know, they're frozen with, they're frozen with the present, with their present state of affairs. Which, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing to not want to make more money and take the free time if that's what you prefer. But for the point of this example, like, Rand's just trying to draw out that they're not really projecting into the future. Professor of philosophy, he's basically telling Rand, present a bunch of concretes, present your views without actually explaining the reasons behind them, which you need to explain those reasons in order to get a deep understanding. This mentality is self-made. Okay. That wasn't a great explanation, but we're going to move on because we got to move on. The mentality is self-made. Social, personal, or both? The anti-conceptual mentality. Passivity. Yeah, so it's a lack of looking for fundamentals. It's a lack of gaining new knowledge. It's a lack of conceptualization. I'm going to define the term. So it's basically, you can think of it as just maybe not complete, definitely not complete denial because we survive by using concepts, but I don't want to form concepts. I don't want to do that. I want to treat my experiences and what I see in front of me as enough, rather than projecting out from those experiences and from those examples. I don't want to find root causes. I want to deal with what I see. like I know people like this who like past a certain level of thinking, they won't go any further. They won't go to root causes, and they won't causes of problems. They they sort of live like the future doesn't exist, or at least they like undervalue the future by a lot. Like they put the present on a pedestal above pretty much everything else. And oftentimes, you see them repeating the same patterns or the same problems, like they don't solve it, and they're like, why? Well, it's because you're not going to the root. Yeah. Yeah. Past a certain point, you can stop forming concepts and you can just memorize stuff. You'll have no idea what you're talking about. But and unfortunately, school sort of incentivizes this because tests, at least to a certain point, maybe when you get to a high enough level in schooling, I don't think this is as much the case, but definitely in high school, you can get away with just memorizing, but not understanding. Not knowing the why, just knowing basically pattern recognition on like multiple choice tests, which is really sad because that's like kind of pointless. I mean, I'm sure there's some value, but the main thing is understanding. Such a that's interesting. I mean, I don't think. I mean, I don't want to completely disregard at least imitation, memorization maybe, but imitation. Well, memorization also has uses. Like sometimes, like especially for historical facts, like you just need to memorize some of those if you want to know them. In imitation, when you're first learning something, especially a physical skill, it's good to start by imitating someone who knows what they're doing, and you can kind of reverse engineer the process from there and like why they're doing what they're doing. The issue is when you don't have any, like you completely replace concept formation with either memorizing or imitating or both. That's bad. So it seems like there's a lack of asking why. There's a lack of asking why for someone with an anti-conceptual mentality. They treat most things as self-evident. They treat the concepts that they do have as self-evident. And the result of that is they can't differentiate between the metaphysically given or the man-made. Like, it's impossible. Because if you treat everything as a given, in a sense, everything is, like, to them, everything would be the metaphysically given, I think. Or they would treat everything as if it were the metaphysically given. Because you can't ask a reason behind something that's metaphysically given. It's just a fact. But you can do that for the man-made. But the person with this mentality just doesn't ask why at all. They're just like, they just assume everything is how it must be. All right. Yeah. So the anti the anti-conceptual mentality. If someone has that mentality, they don't ask the question why very often, or they don't go very deep, and they don't ask the question what for what reason. Um, yeah, they might give like, yeah, these types of answers, such as life, or you're just supposed to, like, they'll give non-satisfactory answers. What for what purpose, and why? What's the reason behind those? Interesting. Yeah, so if you don't ask those two questions, why and what for, you basically rip away causality and purpose from pretty much anything. So the question why, well, she goes into it here, eliminates the concept of causality. You can't ask why something happened or what the reasons are behind something. So completely cuts off the past. In the absence of concern with the what for question, for what purpose, yeah, eliminates long-range purpose and cuts off the future. Thus, only the present is fully real to an anti-conceptual mentality. They only live in the present. Now, granted, living in the moment's great, but you first have to it's not just living in the moment. It's setting a plan for the future, understanding your past, and the reasons for why you're doing what you're doing, setting goals. And then once you've set those goals and you understand the past to a certain degree, you focus pretty much entirely on the present. And then every now and again, you reflect on the plan and then your reasons for why you're doing something to see if they still make sense to you, given what you've learned. But you don't just live in the present without reference to the past or the future, because then you're basically just living on the whim, which is not good, because then you're going to do stuff like, I could take heroin today. That's living in the present, man. But it's probably not good. No, it's definitely not good. So, there are problems with that. Yeah, if you refuse to form concepts, you can't make a plan for the future because the future doesn't exist. Like existentially, it's completely a concept, or entirely a concept. Right? It's a projection into the future, and it's entirely conceptual. So if you don't form concepts, you can't project into the future. You can't plan long term, and then that's not good. All right, I gotta go. I got a meeting to attend. So we'll pick up on this paragraph tomorrow, and yeah. So I'll see you guys on